There are a lot of times when you're going to have to troubleshoot display and video projectors, et cetera. And to talk a bit about the video scene, we've got Max Stafford. Max, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Tell us a bit about yourself, and let's start talking about troubleshooting video a bit.
Okay, yeah. My name is Max. I work as a desktop engineer out of a company called Ascentus. Basically, it's just a sysadmin role. I do like computer configuration, deployment, and support. Basically beginning and end of the computer's life cycle.
Cool. But as part of the life cycle, as it were, or at least the elements of a computer, monitor video, obviously very important. What are some of the when you're troubleshooting something, whether it be remotely or in person? Where do you start and where do you end up? What are some of the elements that you most commonly work with?
Yeah, so typically, I mean, even especially in remote work, everyone's working from home, and not everyone is tech savvy. Um, Even if you are tech savvy, it can happen to you. But the most common issue is just connectors not being connected correctly. If you can ask yourself, has this worked before? And the answer is yes. It's probably just not connected correctly. The old unplug it, plug it back in. It'll probably work. If you have a dock, it's the same thing. Leave them connected to the dock, unplug the dock from the computer, plug it back in.
They have
Then
a
try to
nasty way
build.
of working themselves loose for whatever reason.
Exactly, yeah, especially if you're not cable organizing, cable managing, which most people don't. Um, it's gonna, something's gonna hit it, right?
That's right. A lot of people will not use the screws that are in the back of those too. They just kind of pop them in
Yeah,
and
if you have a VGA or a DVI cable, making sure those are completely screwed in. It's not; those are pretty sturdy, so it's not as common with those, but it can happen. I've seen it before.
so
But
once you take HDMI.
Uh, HDMI and DisplayPort are much more common with that. You just plug them, they don't have any connectors to just keep them firm in there.
Once you've taken care of some of those physical issues, what's the next step?
Yeah, if that's not the issue, which it is in large part, those typically are the issues. But the next step after you've confirmed that that is not what's going wrong is driver issues. A lot of times people will just not be, controlling their updates or making sure they're completely up
Uh,
to date. Uh, Making sure you have the latest firmware and soft operating system updates is the next step. If that doesn't work, or if they are on those most up to date versions, it's a driver uninstall and reinstall. It takes 5 minutes as opposed to the 24 hours it could take to completely change out
uh,
their whole setup. It's simple. It's just a uninstall reinstall.
when it comes to managing those drivers, what kind of tools do you use? Because sometimes it's hard to get rid of the driver or really go in there and definitively figure that out. What do you
It's
use?
it's true. Driver issues are confusing. You don't see them. You just install them and it just works, right? Um, Typically, you'll just use the Windows update or whatever updating solution you have on the computer. A lot of the time, those will be packaged in there. If you're using like a dedicated graphics card, you'll want to go to the vendor for that
Yeah.
and make sure you have the right, uh, you know, right driver for the right product. But there's a lot of tools out there that match that up for you on these vendor websites. So that is typically easy. Before you do that, if you are doing a update, you want to make sure all the other drivers are uninstalled first before you don't want to install on top of
Yeah.
old drivers. You can run into a lot of issues. There's actually a software called Display Driver Uninstaller that just nukes all of the old drivers and get a fresh install. I do that anytime I am upgrading the computer
I love that. It allows you to start, really from a
from
real time.
scratch.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. Yep.
when it comes to back in the old days. I remember, you had to worry about video burn-in and things like that. Are there some displays nowadays where you have to worry about that too?
Yeah, I mean, there's nowadays it's kind of come full circle a little bit. There are newer displays, OLED displays that can have screen burn-in. It's not as common as it was back in the day. And there's a lot of, they invest a lot of research and technology in making sure that that doesn't happen with these displays. They're not too common, like because they're still expensive. They're still in their kind of infantile state right now. But
Right.
we'll probably see them in 5-10 years as a daily commonplace thing. But the fix for that is just managing a screensaver. The reason it happens is because there's one pixel that's on the same color for long enough for it to not be able to release that color.
Right.
And then you see that image washed over. So getting a screensaver, making sure you don't have the computer running 24/7 on a static screen, um, changing images, changing images. That's it. Just making sure you don't keep it on for a week on the same image, basically.
It happens. It happens.
It
Well,
does, and it does. Yeah, it's crazy, but it happens. People will do anything they can with computers.
well, thanks, Max. Appreciate your insight talking about video, some of the solutions, hardware and software. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.